Hey, let's see. All right. I'm supposed to wait about a minute, but I had about a minute of some craziness trying to get on. So, all right, I'll wait 1 second. And I believe I'm recording. I think I am. Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and start. Let me turn my phone off. So if you're on, I'm so grateful that you are on, and thank you for your time, and being a part of this. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. My name is Julia Burnett, and I'm a senior national sales director in Mary Kay, and I live in Lexington, Kentucky. And I just want to say thank you again so much for being here and for agreeing to just to say yes to the consultant that asked you to be on. You're probably a customer or a good friend or family member or someone that just loves the product. And so I want to say it was such really an honor really to be asked, because your consultant is in a challenge and really has a goal that she's working on. And by you watching this and giving her your feedback and telling her the password at the end, by doing that, you were genuinely giving her courage and confidence, and also, you are helping her with a goal. So I appreciate that so much, and I just ask that you listen with an open mind and an open heart, and hopefully there's something that I say that might impact you in some way, not even if it's Mary Kay, but just in life in general. And so I want to start off by asking you a question, and the question I want to ask you is, what is it that you value most in your life? Now that might be like okay, we're starting off heavy, but has anyone ever asked you that question? What is it that you value most in your life? And also, is the way you're living right now, is that congruent with what it is that you do value most in your life, or what you really want out of your life? And if the answer is, well, not really, I wanted to ask, do you have a plan for that? And I want you to consider that if nothing changes, like if you stay on the path that you're on right now, and if nothing changes in your life, if there is no plan for that, where will you inevitably end up 1 year from now? Or where will you end up 5 years from now? When I graduated from college, I graduated summa cum laude, and after college, I was courted by this Fortune 100 company, and I beat all the guys in the business school for this one slot that this company was opening to a new college grad. And when I went through all these interviews with different companies for potential jobs and potential careers, I told each person I interviewed with that there were 3 things that I was looking for in a career, and I want you to listen and see if these resonate with you. Okay, the first one was, a requirement for me was I wanted to work with people, because I knew that I valued people and I really want to work with people. The second thing is I needed variety. I just would get bored if I had monotony every single day, day in, day out, the same old thing. And the third thing I really told people I interviewed with, I really desired in a career, was I wanted a challenge. Like I wanted to be pushed, I wanted to be my very best, and I wanted to grow. And so I got this offer from this really great Fortune 100 company. I was so excited. And I really did enjoy the people that I worked with, and it really was a great corporate job. But once I realized the actual reality of my day-to-day life and the lifestyle that I was living at that time, I mean, I felt like someone lied to me. It was our first job out of college. And the people, who interviewed me, who work for this company, they always talked about, oh, we have great work-life balance. And even on their website, they talked about great work-life balance. And I thought, you mean this is what you call work-life balance? I mean, this is crazy. And it was just a big kick in the gut in a way. And I thought, is this how it's always going to be? And at that time in my life, I wasn't even married. I didn't even have kids. And I thought, I don't know how someone could sustain this day after day. Like my regular day was, and I don't know if your day is like this, but it was getting up when it was still dark, sitting in a cubicle all day with no access to a window. And you see here, I sit like when I am at my desk, I have this big, like 3 windows right in front of me, look out over the whole neighborhood. It's so great. But I would sit in a cubicle all day with no access to a window. I would eat lunch at my desk, and then I would leave the office at night when it was still dark, and it was like my soul was dying. I mean, do any of you all ever feel that way right now? Like your soul is just kind of withering? And that's kind of when I realized, oh my goodness, I've sold myself short. While those 3 qualities that I really desired in my lifestyle were still there, they were actually all trumped by one final one, which I didn't realize at the time, but after having a lack of it, it became very apparent to me. The fourth quality was that I needed to be able to make a difference with my life. Like my soul needed to feel like my life was contributing to something that could actually change the world, or invest in something that actually mattered, or had a legacy type of impact. And so when I was there at that career, what was happening is I was exchanging my time for a paycheck. I was exchanging my time for a paycheck. And I realized that if I'm going to exchange my time for a paycheck, then I want my time, my one life, to actually matter in the way I invest it. So instead of exchanging my time for a paycheck, I rather exchange my contribution for a paycheck. That maybe my paycheck would be correlated to how much I add value to other people. To me, that's creating a life of significance versus the world's definition of success. And so when I left that company, after just a year, I just couldn't take it anymore. I left there and I took a 50% pay cut to work at a university. Now, I thought working at a university would be really fulfilling, and it was to an extent. But at the university, what I feel like I experienced was I just dealt with some really catty people and some really catty women, and a lot of politics, and honestly, just a lot of emotional drama. And especially for the money they were paying, I thought it's just not even worth it. So in that season of life, I realized that when you don't have money, that you wake up thinking about money and you go to sleep thinking about money. Like money seemed like I was just always concerned about money. Like, how is I going to pay for just basic living? And how sad is that? But are any of you guys feel like you're in that place right now where the thought of money kind of dominates your life? And so right out of college, I had 2 jobs with 2 different extremes. One paid really great, one not so great. One, I worked with excellent people, and one, I just had a lot of emotional drama with the people that I was surrounded with. One was like soul crushing, not seeing how I could contribute. And the other one, I did see how I can contribute, but it had this big ball and chain of all that came with it. And so when a friend of mine in that season of time became a Mary Kay gal, my very first thought was, well, good for her. Good for her, but we'll see how long this lasts. I mean, it literally was I'm like so ashamed now how negative I was, but that really was the very first thing I thought of, like, we'll see how long this lasts. But what happened is through her, when I learned more about the culture of Mary Kay and the values of Mary Kay, I actually thought, well, isn't that a novel idea, that there actually exists a company out there that has great values and that really does operate this way? And what those values were that I became attracted to is I learned that the Mary Kay culture, that they valued putting God first, and then their family second, and then their career third. Now, at the age of 24, I had never actually heard that before, like ever. And I wanted to know more about that because at that time in my life was exactly opposite of that. It was like my job came first because they expected it. My family, or what made me truly me, my hobbies or whatever, got the leftover of me after I was exhausted. And then honestly, it was sort of like God who. And so that was attractive to me because I'd never heard that before. And then the other foundational principle was the golden rule, which is biblical, which is treat people the way you want to be treated. And I just thought, well, what an honorable and really noble way to decide this is going to be the foundational principle for a company. And it's not only the only way really to run a business, it's really the only way to run your life, right? And so at that time, my girlfriend told me, well, consultants, they buy their product for $1 from Mary Kay, the company, and then they sell it to the consumer for $2. And so it's a 50% commission. And I will say I really love the product. Like, I thought the product was like amazing. And I don't know why, I just didn't expect it to be that good. But when I tried it, I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. And so I fell in love with the product. And so I said, I was an economics major in college. So I was like, oh, so you mean I could also buy it from the company for $1 and keep it for myself for $1? And she was like, yes. And then I began thinking, I'm like, well, I've got a family full of women. And then she told me the starter kit was $100 and showed me like all this stuff you get for it. And honestly, at that point, I was like, I have nothing to lose. I love the product. At minimum, it could be that. And honestly, that's kind of how I came into Mary Kay. I didn't make any big like life-changing decision, or I wasn't like emotionally drawn. Honestly, it was just like, yeah, that makes sense. I'll do it. But what happened is when I got my starter kit, I opened it up and it was like, I became euphoric because suddenly I began to dream again. And this is the sad part. And I don't know if you have experienced this either, but when you're little girls, we dream about what our life is going to be like. And we dream about what can happen in our life. And then somewhere along the way, I just got into like, well, this is what good girls do. And I just started making decisions based on what people told me I should be doing, and not on what I really wanted out of life. And so I realized that when I opened my starter kit, it was like my heart flooded with all of these dreams. And I think when I said yes to Mary Kay, I think in my heart of hearts, I really wanted to do more with it. But I was paralyzed with fear of like, well, what are people going to say about me if I don't make it? Or what if I say I'm going for it and then ultimately, it doesn't pan out? And so when I got my starter kit, I told people with my mouth, well, I'm just doing this for the discount and we'll just see. But my heart was really excited about the possibilities. And I want to say, so what if you do try it and then discover it's not for you? Well, have you ever known someone who started a job and then left that job for another one? I mean, so what? I'd rather go through life and say, I'm so glad I did, and not like I really wish I had. Another fear like that I had was the fear of feeling like, what if I turn into someone I'm not? Or what if do I have to turn into someone I'm not to be successful? Meaning, do I have to be a salesperson? Do I have to be fake or sales-ish? And let me just say this, that in Mary Kay, we really believe that each woman, the ultimate success for her is becoming the very best version of herself that she can be. And wouldn't you agree that if you're not true to yourself and if you feel like you're fake, that women can smell a fake from a mile away, right? And I honestly believe that's part of what contributed to my own success, was that I just worked the business under the umbrella of Mary Kay, under the bullet points of complete A, then complete B, then complete C, with my own brand of panache, and I was always true to myself. And then I realized that when you have group appointments, that you really aren't really selling the product. I mean, you are selling, but you're not really selling, because if you have a group, they're all kind of selling each other on the product, and it kind of takes you out of it for a bit. And also sometimes potential team members will say things like, well, I'm afraid to talk in front of people. And let me ask you two questions. If you're one of those people, you're like, well, I think it sounds great, but I am petrified of talking in front of people. Well, one is, I've never met a person who was shy or afraid of talking in front of people that liked it. I've never met anyone that was like, yeah, I love being shy. I mean, come on, everyone wants to develop that. They're just afraid to. And this is one fantastic way that we'll develop that. The second thing is, I realized when you gather 4 or 5 women around a table and you put a mirror in front of them, girlfriend, they're not looking at you. They're looking at them. They're looking at themselves in the mirror. So they're not even listening to you anyway half the time, because they've got that mirror in front of them. So it really takes you out of the equation. Now, really fast, I want to end with, sometimes potential team members will say, well, it sounds really great, but what do you do? And hopefully you've been to a Mary Kay party and you've kind of seen that. But there's different ways to work the businesses. One is, on the go, which is you just sprinkle it into your life. And so if you're a busy mom, running carpool or bringing kids to games, or if you're a corporate person like I was, working a really full-time career, it's amazing how you just kind of sell it on the go. And what I've learned after 14 years of doing this, that if you're really busy, what that means, if you're like, dude, I'm busy, you don't get it, I'm busy. Okay, if you're like, dude, I'm busy, what that means is that you're actually around a lot of people. I mean, the busy people are the ones that run the world, right? Not the people who are couch potatoes who are never interacting with people. So if you're busy, if you're afraid you wouldn't have time to fit into your life, I just think that that's code for, I'm actually around a lot of people. I have a lot of connections. When I worked my other full-time job, very full-time job, my goal was just to contact 2 customers a day. And I actually did it from walking from my office to the parking garage. I called 2 people a day, and that was what I did. It became a habit. The other way that we work the business is through group appointments. And my director said the key to success in Mary Kay is learning to work full circle, which means from each group appointment, you book future appointments, you sell skincare sets, and you share the opportunity. So if you just have a couple hours a week, it's more part-time. Could you just fit in like 1 appointment a week? Or if you're more highly motivated, you're on like a leadership type of track, then 2 or 3 consistent group appointments a week would position you for that. And the last way you make money is through sharing the opportunity. When you find women who this could add value in their life and they say yes, Mary Kay, the company sends you a commission check based on how successful that your team is. And so I remember earlier when I said how I prefer to trade my contribution for a paycheck instead of my time for a paycheck. Well, my highest commission check for 1 month from Mary Kay has been over $32,000 for 1 month. And it's not just been once. I mean, been that, I've gotten a $32,000 check more than once. And so I can look at that and go, wow, that's a lot of positive contributions. But my first commission check was $16 and I was grateful for it. And the last way you can make money is you definitely can earn the use of a Mary Kay career car along the way, or take a monthly cash payment instead. So there's different ways you can, different avenues of income, keeping in mind that selling the product is always the foundation of everything that we do. So the last thing I just want to say is that you may think, well, that sounds really good, but what about the money? How do I begin? And there's two main decisions that you make as a part of a Mary Kay decision. One is a $100 decision. That's, is this something you want to do? And for that, you get a starter kit. And the other decision is more like a business decision. It's sort of like, now you got your kit. What do you want to do with that? And that's completely, the ball's in your court. You're calling the shots. You're making all the decisions there, but you have a coach that walks you through it. And that could be anything from, do I want to purchase product to have in my home to keep on hand, so when people want something, I have it right away? Do you want a personal website? Do you want business cards? But let me just kind of put these things in perspective. I have a business background, and new businesses in America, begin all the time. And they cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to start a business without a proven success plan. So to put it in perspective, you're basically being offered an opportunity that's a proven business plan with a product that's like insane high quality. And the price, for the quality, for the quantity, it's like you can't beat Mary Kay as a product. You're given amazing female mentors who are just amazing examples of living a godly, intentional life, of being mothers and leaders and coaches, and a community of positive girlfriends. And I always say that Mary Kay, I think, is the most wholesome, safe place for a woman to fall down, because you have this entire group of women who are there to dust you off, pick you up, and set you back on your way again. And I don't know if this is something that could add value to your life, but I do want to leave you with the question I asked in the beginning. And that question again is, what is it that you value most in your life? And is the way you're living right now, is it congruent with what it is that you value most? And if it's not, do you have a plan for that? And oftentimes I think we know in our heart if this is something you really want to do or not, or you want to learn more about. And then what happens is we know we want to do it, and then our head brings us back to this reality of like, well, what about this? And what about that? And do you really think you could? And really, are you sure you could do that? And so I just wanted, for the logical part of your brain, for my logical thinkers out there, I just want to leave you with this. I want to invite you to make a list. Or 2 lists or 3 lists. One is, what's the best thing that could possibly happen if you decided to do this? And then the other list is, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I think when you get it down on paper, it's irrefutable. The best thing versus the worst thing. One list will be significantly longer than the other. And the other question I want to leave you with that you may want to write down is, well, what do I have to lose? What could the people who are the most important to me in my life, what could they have to lose if I don't make a change? That might give me the courage to need to go make the change I need to make in my life, if that makes sense. So I just want to say thank you again for your time. Thank you for checking out a little bit more about Mary Kay. And your consultant will need a password from you, and that word is opportunity. And I just look back over my last 14 years, and I think, gosh, when I was 24, I walked into this opportunity really kind of on accident. And now I don't even recognize myself anymore for what this has been able to give to myself and to my family. And so God bless you. Thank you again for your time. And I hope that this has at least opened the doorway to just think some new thoughts. So thank you so much. Have a great day.